Hey everyone, welcome today to the Pinnacle podcast. I am so excited about what we're going to do today as I've got our next generation pastor, Walker Stamey. He's here. Walker does so many incredible things around here at Pinnacle, working with our kids and our families and working with our students and our parents. And he's our on-hand tech guy as well. I want to give him a big shout out. A lot of the live streaming things that we've been changing and updating in this season of the COVID-19 pandemic is thanks to him, man. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Yeah,
you're doing a great job.
it's a hobby that turned into a profession overnight.
And you're like the young guy on staff, so you know all the fun tech gurus, and he makes me feel really, really old sometimes. I'm only 6 years older than you, but
you're like a you're like inherited into boomer just by your behaviors.
Stop. Anyway, but we're really excited today to bring you a podcast in this season talking about parenting and marriage and what that looks like during a pandemic. And so we've got a little bit of experience. We're both young and figuring out, but we've talked to a lot of great people. And also we think we've got some great resources that we want to talk to you about as parents, as families, so that during this season, during this pandemic, you can still be really intentional in your kids' lives and your spouse's lives. And so we're really excited to bring some of that to you today. And so, hey, as you're checking this out, if you think this is beneficial, do us a favor. Leave us a comment, give us a like, share this on social media, share it with your friends, with your family who you think might benefit from it, because we think this could be really helpful during the season, and that's why we're producing this content. And so do us a favor, like it, give it a share if you find it meaningful today.
Walker, hold on. The kids call it smash that like button.
Okay. Yeah, see, making me feel old again. So anyway, really excited to have this conversation. Walker, thanks for being here, man. Before we dive in, just how are you doing in this season right now?
Well, boy, howdy, it's been interesting. So the first couple weeks were like survival fix-it mode for me, because it was like, okay, so we have the church live stream. Erica and I, Erica's ultimately over that. I've been kind of just serving underneath her during this time, setting the back end of things up while she leads that team.
Absolutely.
But anyways, so both her and I, we were on vacation when it came out and was like, hey guys, so fix mic. See, tech issues. I should have taped. I didn't tape. I know.
See, who's the boomer now? Anyway.
Anyways, global pandemic happening. United States is shutting down. No churches and all this stuff can meet physically. And so Eric and I were like, well, all right, let's start figuring it out. So, that Thursday was when we called it. Anyway, so we just, for past couple weeks, just been kind of hammering it out. And just going on that mentality of like fix it mode. I didn't have much time to think about everything that was going on or to really soak it in.
Yeah.
So that happened last week.
Yeah.
I went through like the stages of grief of like anger, depression, different things, and just, seeing more and more people being hospitalized, more and more people being, falling ill, and eventually, unfortunately, several thousand dying from this. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and so that weight on there that we're all facing as well. But I've been actually trying to find the positives of this and to find rest in this season as well. I mean, things are still busy here. We were joking. It's like I feel like it's busier here at church in many ways than it was before this virus hit, before we went digitally. There's, more that goes on to get stuff digital. It's easier to stand up here and talk to someone live. There's not 3 hours of editing and uploading and that, and the other. Anyways.
A lot more behind the scenes things taking place now.
Yeah, so, for sure. So
it's like
but this
I was
great.
talking to you like the other day, like there's a sense of me that's almost like, really struggling with that rest part of this whole thing because I just don't rest well.
Right.
And so I think God's really teaching me that through this season as well, to slow down. And it's okay. It's okay to rest. It's okay to slow down and take some time with the people that matter most. So speaking of the people that matter most, we're talking today about families. What are some things that you want to tell our parents about? Some good resources for them during this time, some things to think about. And I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you take it away.
Yeah, so the first thing first, Easter's coming around the corner, and Easter is a big thing for families. Obviously, a big thing for Christians, but it's a big thing for non-Christians as well. It's a big time that they check out the church. You know, that's when churches across the world have their highest attendance. That's when kid ministries have their most crammed classrooms and like chaos is ensuing, and you're just like, oh, we're gonna have fun and learn about Jesus, you know, and you're just trying to do that out, and so that's all thrown out the window, and it's entirely different. But just because we threw the bathwater out, don't mean the baby's got to fly out with it, so to speak. So the first thing is we're getting to offer Easter Jam to you guys. That's Orange is providing that. That's the curriculum that we use here at Pinnacle Church, and they've sent that out. And like, props to them, man. They've sent that out free to everyone, which is amazing. Yeah. So happy for that. So it's going to be an amazing resource for you guys at the church, just Pinnacle and churches worldwide. So if you're watching this, feel free. You can hop on our social media. There are links for Easter Jam. But it is going to be a at-home Easter experience for the entire family. You can go to our website, you can go to our social media, find the links there. You go to that link, you get a parent guide. Don't worry, it's only 2 pages, okay? So don't freak out. And it's color coded as well.
All the parents that are homeschooling right now are like,
okay, not more!
No, it's very simple.
It's very,
I checked mine out last night. So it seems really simple.
Yes.
And really looking forward to it.
Yes, no, you're fine. It's very simple, very straightforward. You only need a couple of supplies. If you have them on hand, awesome. If you don't, you know, if you have to go out to the grocery store, maybe you can pick them up. If not, you can find some substitutes for them as well, and all that's on there. It's like Peep marshmallows and toothpicks. Anyways, so it's going to be a great thing. And, you know, parents, don't worry. This is if you are not a theologian, you're like, I'm not a kids pastor, I'm not a kids teacher, I'm not a volunteer. You know, you're like, I've already been thrown into being a homeschool teacher when I'm terrible at math, you know? Like if Erica was if we had a high school kid right now and she had to be responsible for teaching that kid math, I don't know what I would do.
I'd be in trouble. So.
No, but it's easy. There's a video that goes along with it, and it's just a Easter to remember.
It's like we were talking about, and even before we came on here, this Easter is going to be so different for so many families, and there's a sense where we do have to grieve that. You know, we're not able to gather. Like my family, we get together as an extended family every Easter, have a big meal, celebrate together. You know, kids do an Easter egg hunt, those type of fun things, and we're not getting to do that this year. And there's a sense where we're having to grieve that a little bit, where we are saddened by it, but at the same time. One of the things that me and my wife, Sally, were talking about is that this is going to be an Easter, especially Reed, because he's old enough to like start remembering things now. And if you've got children that are at the age where they, you know, are remembering events and different things that are going on, this is going to be an unforgettable Easter for them.
Absolutely.
I mean, because this is unprecedented. They probably... They've never had an Easter like this before, and they probably won't ever have another Easter like this again. Where they are stuck at home, where they can't be with family, and we can grieve that and be saddened by it because we're not with our families, our extended families. But at the same time, we can look at this as a positive and realize that this is going to be something that our kids remember forever. So let's make a really cool moment. And let's make a cool moment that they're going to remember forever, and maybe teach them something along the way that they're going to learn and remember forever. And so I love the Easter Jam. Like I said, I checked ours out last night, and we're getting excited about it. We're already talking about it. I think we're going to do it like Sunday afternoon as a family after we watch the live stream together Sunday morning. We're going to probably hang out and, you know, maybe let the kids take a nap or something and do that Sunday afternoon. Really looking forward to it. And I think it's so important that during this season, parents understand that yes, the church is here, and we're going to speak truth into your children, and we're going to try to give them everything we can when they're here on a Sunday. But the most important voice that a child can hear about their faith is their parent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this gives our parents a really good opportunity. And like you said, you don't have to be a theologian to be able to do this.
Right.
It gives some really good talking points in that Easter Jam packet. And so I'm really excited to do it with our kids.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, you know, if you do it, please take photos, upload them so we can see it.
We should do that. Yeah. You know, parents take pictures.
Take some videos of y'all doing Easter Jam. Just for my sanity so I can see it, you know? Like, I don't get to see all my kids.
Yeah, I know, man.
So, but yeah, I mean, absolutely. You brought up the two things that I kind of want to go off of that is, it's the world's totally different. That doesn't have to be a bad thing right now. Yes, we have to. There is mourning. There is a weight that is on every single person's shoulders right now.
Absolutely.
And I'm not ignoring that, and I'm not telling anyone to ignore that. But we can find moments during this season that will have an everlasting impact on us and our families.
I agree.
Just simple things. It doesn't have to be a bad thing that you're locked in at your home. You can. Some of my favorite memories with my parents is one time we made a fort out of pillows and bed sheets and stuff, and watched a movie. Like, that was amazing, and I still cherish those things. So, though we have a large obstacle when a challenge is presented, there is also the great opportunity for diversity and opportunities to overcome those challenges that we maybe never thought of before. I think Easter Jam is part of that for your family this Christmas.
I'm really excited about it. And I hope you parents, I hope you really, really take time to do it with your kids and just experience that together and hopefully create a really cool moment that they're going to remember for a long time. So you were mentioning like the blanket forts and stuff like that. What are some things that families and parents can be doing with their kids right now in this season to kind of take advantage of the time that we've been given at home? We can't take them out to eat. Nobody's playing sports right now. There's not a lot of after school activities. Well, there's no school to begin with. So there's not a lot of extracurriculars or anything like that. So what are some of the tools, the tips, the tricks that you would really encourage parents to maybe be leaning into right now?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I want to say to you parents is, you don't have to be perfect.
Absolutely.
You do not. Your child right now does not need a perfect parent.
That's good.
Does not need a parent that is just trying to do leaps and bounds more than you physically or mentally can handle.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. Your child needs you there being imperfect. And being empathetic, and understanding, and just showing love, and I know I've been talking. Some of my volunteers are nurses, and their spouses are nurses, and they're working nonstop right now. And grandma and grandpa are taking care of the kids. So I want to encourage you. It's okay. Find the moments. Write them a card. Write them a letter. Send them a photo throughout the day, like, hey, I just love you. Just small little things. You don't have to go. If maybe you've been laid off, this is happening to everyone. You may have been laid off right now. Your child doesn't have to have an amazing Easter gift to come to in the morning.
Yeah, I agree.
Your child needs you there to show love towards on Easter morning. That's the big.
I agree. I think that's so important right now because it's so because we are given so much time, more time probably with our kids than we're used to. I think, and in the age of social media and in the age of like comparison trap and just getting on and endlessly scrolling and seeing all the amazing things, the highlights of what parents are doing with their kids.
The massive birthday party.
I mean, just whatever. And even in this season, like there's so many parents that are posting things like, look at what we're doing with our families, blah, blah, blah. It's real easy, I know as a parent, to get sucked into like, man, I'm not doing enough for my kids.
Right.
Or man, I should be doing more, or I should get them something, or I should,
absolutely,
like, we're not creating enough moments, we're not taking advantage. It's real easy to get sucked into comparing ourselves to other families. And I think we have to be really careful there.
Absolutely.
And realize that we're not called to be perfect.
Nope.
Our kids need to see us struggle through this as well, so that when they face struggles in their lives, they know how to struggle well. And so I think instead we need to be focusing on that more than like trying to create some perfect place for them or some perfect setting that really just isn't going to exist right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's really good. We need to give ourselves some grace.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Really so, well, great. What else? What are some things though that even though we're not perfect, that we can be thinking about and that we can be doing? And again, we're not talking about these things to put pressure on parents.
No, not at all.
To say, hey, do this, do this.
This is to equip you. Yeah, this is to equip you.
Yeah,
you're like, hey, I want to do a couple of things.
Yeah. I do want to take advantage, and I do want to be intentional.
Yeah.
So what can we do to be intentional?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things that I would suggest right now is take a moment of rest with your family. Sit down with them and emphasize, show them that it's okay. Have a conversation. Spend some time in prayer with them. model this example of Psalms 20. We talked about this in group last night. Psalms 23 through Zoom group. Yeah. Psalms 23. Finding rest in the waters. With Christ. And I think that's a big one right now too. We have the great opportunity to show the next generation the example of finding rest, although our world is falling apart.
Wow. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's really good. That's so true.
So you can do that. So if you want to. There are playlists out there for children Christian playlists on Spotify, Apple Music. That Orange actually has some and put some out.
That's great.
Have some kids worship time with your family. Yeah. Play a board game, just maybe watch a movie or spend time in prayer and just relax in that moment. Use what's around your house, have a paper airplane competition.
I love that.
Yeah, that's just one of those fun things. Most people have some type of paper laying around their home. Fold it in, see who can make the best design and can throw it the furthest. There's small things that don't cost anything and don't have to be a burden. Yeah. To go do, and these are memories that will last a long time.
I think that's one of the pressures sometimes as parents is we think we've got to go so extravagant. Yeah. We think we've got to take them to Disney World or we've got to do all this stuff. I love Disney World. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, me too.
But we think we've got to do some huge extravagant thing that's going to cost a lot of money. But usually I think about my own childhood. Mm-hmm. The most memorable moments are things that were so simple. Mm-hmm. I can one of my favorite memories as a kid is sitting around our kitchen table and playing card games, playing Uno, playing simple things like that. Because that's where we had great conversations and we laughed as a family. We did so many things, and
you were connecting with your parents.
Absolutely, yeah. And it wasn't something
you weren't doing; you were connecting.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's the same as Christ. We can do church all the time, but are we really connecting with Christ? It's the exact same thing. We look to God. We look to Christ as our Father. And we want that relationship, and we pursue that. That is just modeled down as a parent to your child. Of hey, are we really connecting? Are we really having conversation? Are we really
building our relationship? Yeah, I agree, man.
Rather than just being busy.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's a real positive that could really come out of this season is
I'm actually excited about that.
Yeah, families are really learning how and hopefully discovering how to rest and really connect together by just doing simple things. Mm-hmm. Not having to go to all the games, not having to go to and don't get me wrong, I'm a sports guy. I miss the games right now. They're even talking about hitting college football season might not be coming in the fall, and I'm gonna have to really do that if that happens. But things are slowing down, and we're not doing as much, and our kids aren't as busy either. Mm-hmm. And so let's take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. Let's really take some time to build into our relationships, and that's a challenge sometimes. Absolutely, and so we have to get creative, and we have to figure out ways to do that. But I think some of the ideas you were just throwing out there, and just realizing it doesn't have to be some big thing.
No,
in the smallest, most simple moments, you can really make great connections with your kids.
And one of the things, and we've put this resource out, is chores. Yeah, hey, your kids are sitting at home. Listen, I played Xbox and PlayStation all day as a child, but my parents still had me do some things. And you know what is awesome from that is I learned how to do a lot of stuff. So that resource is out there if you want. It's age-appropriate things that your children can be doing to help you out at the house. And that takes some of the load off of you as a parent as well, which is needed right now. Yeah.
But there's a way to do that and make it fun.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can learn from it. And kids love to learn.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things about a child, in my opinion, is that it doesn't matter what it is. If you are showing them attention and care and hey, I want to teach you this, most of the time they're willing to reciprocate that, Yeah. One of the things I'm grateful for, my father showed me how to work on cars. And this can be a season of hey, a lot of you probably have some leftover maintenance on your car that probably needs to be done, like changing the oil or something. Show your teenage daughter or teenage son how to change the oil. It's a life skill that'll last a lifetime. Yeah. And have a good time doing it.
That's great. Yeah. I love that. Teaching them fun things like that. I think that's a really cool thing we've been doing in the season as well. Awesome. Well, I know there's another great resource you want to share about. And so talk about that real quick. The Parent Q app. Yes. I love this thing.
Yeah, I do too.
So go ahead and find
it. We've been pushing that out, and we've had a lot of families connect with it. And so thank you guys to those of you that have. If you're not on the Parent Q app, I cannot stress enough the importance of that app during this season. So all you have to do is download the Parent Q app. You can get it on all your app stores. Download it. You can sync up with Pinnacle Church, and you get curriculum, just short little videos, things to do as a parent. You get a parenting cheat sheet, guys.
Yeah, it's really good.
Right? Like you get an activity, like something to do to make their day during this season, right to your phone, totally free, completely free. Yep. And it's offered from our church to you guys. It is filled with resources. So you get some curriculum for your kids to do, all age appropriate based on how old they are. Also, the thing I can't stress enough is go to that resource tab.
Yeah. So one of the things in there is that conversation guide,
Absolutely.
which has been so beneficial in this season, especially because I know there's conversation guides on like dealing with anxiety. And is there one like specifically for
there
the
is
pandemic
one
right now?
Specifically for COVID-19.
Yeah, and what we're going through. And it's age-based.
Age-based,
it's
yes.
age-appropriate, yeah.
So here is how to have a conversation about COVID-19 to your preschooler, your elementary, your middle grade, your high schooler, and so on. Because, I mean, I know what you're asking. I hardly know how to have this conversation with an adult. How am I supposed to explain this to a 4-year-old that's asking questions? That is hard.
It is hard.
That resource is there. Use it. You know, it's free. Take the time. I promise. The thing I can't stress enough is take the resources that are out there right now and that we're trying to give you guys, because we're just trying to uplift y'all. We're trying to encourage you. We're trying to give you what you need to overcome. But yeah,
I think that's super important.
Yeah, equipping is the biggest thing.
One of the things on that Parent Q app, though, I will be honest with you, like it's so hard.
It's the scary part.
It's the scary part.
There's a scary part.
It's so good, and I think so important. It's that little week countdown.
Counts down, man.
It counts down the weeks until that you have. So when you download the app, you put in your child's birthday, and it counts down the number of weeks you have left with your child until they graduate high school. And as a parent, you think, man, that's a long time. But like I look at like my 4-year-old and my 18-month-old, and it's really not that long. And so while that's scary as a parent, we look at that and it makes us sad. It's like, oh man, we really don't have that much time with them. I think it's encouraging us to be super intentional and not waste our time and be really intentional with our time with our kids, to talk about things that really matter and to make moments like this. And that's my favorite thing about the app too, is like it gives you great ideas to create moments that are like free. You don't have to have all this cool material or something. Like
there's amazing blog posts in there from child pedagogy experts. I mean, like these are people with doctorate degrees that are much more intelligent than I. They have great understanding of the cognitive development of the child brain, and they are writing resources specifically for you guys to utilize for your child.
Yeah. So I really encourage parents. Please just download that Parent Q app. Put in your child's birthday, put in Pinnacle's information. It's real easy to set up, and you'll start getting some amazing content that's going to help during the season and for the rest of your child's life.
Absolutely.
In my opinion. We started using it before this pandemic, and we've loved it. So.
Yeah, I mean, there is a life map on there of like, here is the stages of understanding that your child will have. They've taken it's a beautiful thing. They've taken the science behind the development of a child's brain, and they've taken the biblical understanding of a child and how we should grow in faith, and merged it together and made it very simple.
That's the great thing too. It's simple. Like we sit here and talk about it. It may sound kind of intense, but it's really not. Like, it is super.
These conversation
simple.
guides are one page.
Yeah, and it's very, very, very simple to start implementing some of these things with your kids. And going back to what we talked about, we don't want to overwhelm parents and families and make them think, man, I got to do all this stuff. No, it's set up to be so simple to allow you to be have grace in your family and realize you're not going to be perfect, and that's okay. And your kids need to really see that you're not perfect. Like we've been talking about through this whole thing.
And then, one more thing, last thing about the Parent Q app is it also has a podcast, and there's blog posts in there for just you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like as a parent, it's always like you're a parent, you're like the derivative of your child almost,
Exactly.
There's stuff for you guys because you're just as important. Your spiritual well-being
absolutely
is just as important as your child's.
Absolutely. Totally. I agree. So we've been talking a lot about parenting. We've been talking a lot about, families. Let's move on to not just the parenting side of families, but the relational side of spouses right now. So we've got parents, we've got marriages that are still taking place. And I don't know about you, but there probably has been a little bit more tension in families right now and maybe in marriages. And I just want to talk with you about some of the things that we can be doing as married couples in this season that we're in to still be healthy and to keep our marriages strong so that we can parent through this season and that we can just have strong marriages and come out of this season even better. Loved one of the challenges that Pastor Tommy talked about last week, our worship pastor, is like creating space to worship together as a family, creating space to worship together as a couple, as individuals. And I thought that was so true. Like I took that home this past week and I've been talking to Sally about that, about how we're creating space maybe to just worship as the two of us. And I love that. So what are some other things that maybe you feel, and we'll talk about this together. You can throw the question back at me if you want to, that we can be doing as married couples in this season to have strong marriages in this time?
Yeah. It's the same thing as, like I said, with the kids, finding that rest. That's been with Erica and I. We both, we had like a breakdown moment last week of just like, man, we've not stopped.
Yeah.
And the weight of everything, right now we're living with my parents because we're remodeling a house.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And still trying to finish that up in the midst of all of this.
Yeah, you got craziness going on, not just at work, but
at home. And my dad's at the hospital, he's management at the hospital, and there's the stress of that, and that weighs on our marriage as well. But it's just finding that moment and connecting with God together. When you make that lifelong commitment of marriage, you're one. And so y'all have to be together in this moment. You can't be pulled apart. So taking the time to like you said, to date one another.
Oh wow, yeah.
In the midst of this,
man, how do we date when we can't leave our homes? What do we do?
I know, right?
So I had some ideas about that, and one of the things that I think we're trying to do as a married couple right now is still date. And so what does that look like? Dating when you've got kids at home. So, we tried to be super intentional about.
I have one better, dating while parents are home.
Yeah, there you go. So, oh golly. But anyway, putting the kids to bed early some nights and saying like, hey guys, tonight, even if you've got, middle schoolers, like, hey, go to your room, you can read, you can do whatever.
Right.
But, stay in there. And, me and your mom are going to have a date out here, and I'm going to cook her dinner. And, man, what a cool way, like, as a dad, like, if you've got sons, like, show them how to date their future spouse one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cook each other dinner. Go on walks. If you've got older kids that can't stay at home by yourself, go on walks together. That's one of our favorite things to do as a married couple, is to go on walks. Now, we have to take our kids with us right now, but because of their age. But when we can, when we're able to get outside in nature together, it's really nice. I think staying up watching a movie together, playing a game together. Yeah. Like I said, it's okay for kids to spend time alone. And so letting them do that at home, and then you and your wife go in the living room, go in the dining room, play a game. Like we love games. Like we're just all about some games, man.
Cook each other dinner.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those are some fun things that you can
find out. I would say find out. One of the things that was very good for Eric and I is it's like stereotypical like Christian premarital counseling, but find your spouse's love language.
Yeah,
and dive into that. You know, write a letter if they like words of affirmation.
Listen, my wife's love language is quality time. She's getting that cup filled right now.
She's like,
man.
Yes!
But no, we have to be careful because even though we're together a lot right now, is it quality? So and so we have to be very, very mindful of that. So my words of affirmation as well. Letters mean a lot to me.
Yeah, write a letter to your spouse. Yeah. If you're into making stuff, make a little gift. It's these small things. It's the same as with your child. Yeah. Use what you got around you. It's the act. It's the thought. It's the old saying. It's the thought that matters. But it really is. It's the act of doing it and showing that you care. And that you even took the time to think of them in this moment. That goes with the parent, as a parent and a spouse. Yeah.
Now, here's one thing too that I think is really important in this season is that spend so much time, like be intentionally time with the kids, be intentionally time with your spouse, But I think we have to be really intentional right now about spending some time alone as well.
Yes.
And that may be hard if you're in a home full of kids, if you're, and you're confined to this space. How are you finding time for yourself? And so I think that's really important that in this season we still make time to be alone. And I'm an extrovert, so this season's killing me. But I think it's really important that I still take some time to be quiet, be still, be alone, whether that's going outside and we just got put on a burn ban, so I'm not able to do this anymore. But like before that happened last week, I would build a fire like every night and just sit in the backyard and build a fire, maybe listen to a podcast or something, or listen to some music and just try to find time to be alone, because I think we have to be careful. I know in talking with my wife that she struggles with this sometimes, is she feels guilty as a mom anytime she tries to make time for herself, especially during this season. But we have to remind each other and over again, the best thing you can give your kids and the best thing that you can give your spouse in this season is a healthy you. And in order to be a healthy you, sometimes you have to take time to yourself.
You need that 30-minute bath.
Whatever that looks like. So, whatever that looks like for you.
Absolutely. And that's hard on – I am not in that situation. Erica and I work together and live together. So, I mean, we wake up. We get up together, we take the dog out together, we cook breakfast together, we drive into work in the same car, work together, drive home. Everything is together. And so that was one thing we had to learn early on, was like, it's okay. Like, and she's very introverted as well. And so setting up that boundary, if she had to be like, okay, I need an evening to myself. But I was thinking about this, how hard that is for probably some of you. You have a spouse that maybe works a 12-hour shift. And then they came home at night, and then you sleep, so you only saw them 4 hours. Well, maybe they're at home now having to work from home, and you're now seeing them for 24 hours instead of 4. And where I would throw this out is, if you're in that situation and maybe tensions are high, is sit down, open, honest conversations and expectations towards each other. So many fights come from, I know anytime Eric and I have gotten in an argument, I mean, pretty much every time, it has came from one of us having an expectation of the other one that was not communicated.
Yeah, absolutely.
And frustration built.
Yeah, totally.
And now that we're spending so much more time together, there's going to be more frequent small frustrations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't let them build up. Have a conversation. Sit down. Be like, hey, if one of you is normally doing these chores all the time and the other one's home a lot now, like, hey, let's talk about how we can split this up and spread the workload a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Be there, just be caring for each other. It's your spouse is your ultimate person that you've got to care for.
Yeah.
Whether it's your husband or your wife. Yeah. Be there to care for them, to empathize with them.
Yeah.
And they deserve the respect of being open and honest with them.
I agree. That's awesome. Well, man, we're going to wrap this up, but before we do anything else for parents, for marriages, for families in general right now, we had to hit on today that you want to make sure we talk about. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about? I feel like we've talked about a lot.
I know. I feel like we've rambled forever. It's probably going to be like a 40-minute podcast.
I don't know. Maybe our last one yet, but that's what happens when they put the two extroverts that can't talk to people right now on
absolutely. So, the last thing I want to say, guys, is be encouraged. Don't beat yourself up. That is the last thing that you need to do. If you're in a stressful situation right now, reach out for help. Connect to these resources. Feel free to email me. My email is wstamey@pinnacle.church. I'll be happy to help anyone with anything. And I mean, that goes for anyone and for our church is if you're in need right now, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what it is, we will do our best to fulfill that need however we can in this season. It may just look different than how it has in the past.
Absolutely.
But don't get discouraged. Be uplifted. Find that peace. Find your rest. Embrace it, and just be there for one another and be Christ to one another. Sorry, ears falling off at the end. But just be Christ to one another, and that's what we need.
Yeah, I agree. I love that we started at the beginning of this podcast talking about this. I don't want to end it this way too. There is no perfect parent. Your kids don't need perfect parents. There's no perfect spouse. Your spouse doesn't need a perfect spouse.
Nope.
They need to see us in all of our imperfections. That's where grace comes in. And in this season, we get the chance to really show what grace looks like to our families. Mm-hmm. And so give grace to yourself, give grace to your families, and let the love of Jesus and the grace that he's given you be expounded to all the other people that you're really close to right now.
Be an example. Hey, I'm imperfect, but there's a God that is perfect.
Absolutely. Thank God for that. So, guys, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you,
we
guys.
are so grateful you took a few minutes with us. Again, if you found this content meaningful and helpful, give it a like. Smash that like button, as you said the kids are saying these days. Golly, I feel so old. Give us a like,
they don't
share it on social media, on Facebook. This will be on YouTube. Share the YouTube link. Send it to a friend. Send it to a loved one that you think this might be impactful for. And we might try to link some of the resources that we talked about too as well. Maybe we can throw those into the link with this video.
Yeah, they'll be in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. So check out the description for some of the links that we've talked about. Parent Q app, Easter Jam. Man, so excited for that. And just stay connected with us. We're excited to be able to continue to bring you this content in this season. So again, we really ask you to just help get the word out there to anybody that you think this might be helpful for. We will see you again next week. Until then, have a phenomenal, unforgettable Easter. We hope you'll join us at one of our times that we're going to be worshiping together this Easter weekend. We're going to be having 4 opportunities for you to connect with us at 9:20, 10:20, 11:20, and 1:20.
Get a lunch break in there.
Get a lunch break in there. So, hey, come to all of them. I probably will be. And so it's going to be great. We're going to be connecting online, pinnacle.online.church. And we're excited to connect with you guys this Easter weekend. Until then, have a happy Easter, and we'll see you next week.